Okay. Hey, dreamers. I'm Joe Pardo, and thank you so much for holding out these last couple of weeks while I've been held up in the house here with Ava Grace Pardo, our newborn daughter, our first daughter. I got Matt here in the studio with me. We're live on Facebook Live because it's a lot of fun, and if you're not following me on Facebook, go follow me on Facebook. It's facebook.com/Pardo Joe, I think, is my personal profile account. If not, it's /Pardo, one or the other. I'm not really sure. So I got Matt here in the studio with me. What's up, Matt?
Hey, Papa Joe, how you doing?
Papa Joe. Well, that was Joe Principe's name.
You know, it sounds like a pizza chain. Like you should be competing.
I should be competing with Papa John's. I got Papa Joe's over here. Yeah, well, I don't think I have the energy at this point. You know, I've been going pretty hard on a lot of projects around the house with this time off that I've found. And it's been a lot of fun, though. Enjoying Ava, getting things done around the house. She's actually right here below my desk at the moment, like just off camera. But, you know, again, you should be following me on Facebook so that you can check out the Facebook Live feed. Because we're doing it, it's Monday. Usually we try to do these on Monday mornings, but this morning I had like a ton of things to do with my Amazon account, and then we had the contractor here, and then my computer broke in my theater room, so I was trying to get that fixed, and then that turned into the whole day is just not, like every single thing I've been trying to do today has just not worked well for me. So it's awesome that you're here, the sun's finally out instead of raining. And I got Ava, like, dancing around over here, so I'm probably going to end up picking her up in a minute. But my guest this week, just to, you know, do the little teaser thing as we're supposed to do in the broadcasting world, as Ava's teasing her over here, is Samantha Riley, who is an entrepreneur down in Australia, who actually left school, like, she left high school, if I remember correctly, because it's been a while. She left high school early to go start her, you know, pursue her passions and dreams. So, Matt, why don't you take over the mic for a second while I pick her up?
You know, yeah, that's always exciting when, you know, somebody strikes down their own, especially at such an early age and, you know, manages to, you know, turn into a career. I met a couple people like that. They either dropped out of college. I don't know if anybody dropped out of high school. Actually, no, that's not true. I know one friend of mine actually dropped out to become a piano player.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, no, it's still his passion, which is pretty cool, and it's worked out for him. He's a fantastic player.
Oh, that's awesome.
But no, most people I know, you know, they went through high school and then partway through college, maybe they skipped college and just decided that, you know, it wasn't for them. I mean,
didn't need to be for them.
It doesn't need to be. I mean, I still think college is important in terms of, you know, just furthering your education and becoming like a well-rounded person. But as far as a career, it may not be necessary depending on what you want to do. And especially, you know, if you're a self-starter and you want to do your own business.
Self-motivating people. That's what we love here on Dreamers Podcast and who I love interviewing. So. And
you can always go back. It's not like college is going anywhere.
That is true.
We'll take you and your money there. We're happy to have you.
All the monies in the world. I'm trying to make Ava not cry here, full-on cry at least. It's tough if without actually standing up and, like, walking around.
I like how she woke up just in time for the podcast.
Yeah, I know. She was sleeping just fine. Like, Melissa went and got a shower, and she's like, "Oh, are you sure about this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, why not? It'll be fine." And here she is, like, coughing and crying, and we're bouncing, and yeah, so... Well, I don't know if you guys can hear that, but yeah, so it's been at like 3 weeks that I've just put out the episodes the old way without doing these pre-shows, which we haven't really come up with a name, by the way. It's still I'm liking like just calling it the pre-show because it's 2 syllables and easy to say, and it makes sense because it tells you exactly what it is, and yeah. So I don't know. So until we come up with a better name that makes sense. Because it's not, I mean, it's an introduction, but introduction has too many syllables in it. So pre-show is 2. I can say that.
We keep it short. We keep it efficient around here. So.
Yeah, we do. That's how we do. So since, you know, the 3 weeks had Ava, it's been a pretty amazing experience. Haven't gotten a ton of sleep, but you know, it's gotten more. Every night seems to be a little bit better. There's a lot of stretches where she's getting like 4 hours of sleep at night, and then like 3 or 4 the next. So we're getting our 6 to 7 hours of sleep. It's just not all at once.
Sure.
So it's kind of tough. Plus, we have to stay up to around midnight because that's when she'll finally start to calm down from the crying that she hits like. Actually, right around what time is it? 7:30. So actually, right now, normally she would be crying anyway. But I'm balancing her. She's good. You kind of see her face here on Facebook Live. Again, you need to be following me on Facebook Live so you can check out the live feed. And yeah, so it's a pretty awesome feeling. I'm super stoked to be able to have her here and to be holding her while she's sleeping. I wish I could sleep the way she does, all curled up. She loves to cross her legs in like an Indian style.
Free floating cribs that she's got.
Yeah. Yeah. So she's, for the most part, she's good. She lets us change her without crying. She sleeps for the most part. And the only thing is, like, she really likes to be bobbed up and down. Like, she's like a little human shake weight. So, so yeah, she's all right though. A little bobblehead here. So in other news, aside from this, I've been doing the following my own advice from my 31 Life Changing Concepts book, which if you don't have it, you should go get it. And I was, doing Everything Pays Rent, or actually I should still been doing it. And it's been almost a month now, and there hasn't been a day that my store has been opened that I haven't gone to the post office to drop off packages. Now, I've been taking pictures, putting them on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and it's been pretty amazing. So far, as of today, I've hit the just over $7,600 in about a month. We're rapidly approaching. We're probably like right at the 1 month mark. So $7,600 in 1 month just from stuff I had laying around the house that I hadn't used in a long time. Electronics and computer parts and all kinds of stuff. So, it's pretty amazing. And I haven't even scratched the surface yet. I still have tons of more things in the tank to add to the store. And I think I might actually continue the store even after I've run out of things from my own personal collection. I might start taking up collections of stuff and inventorying and selling it, continuing to sell through Amazon because of the amount of money that it takes. It's really, or not takes, but the amount of money that it brings in is pretty sweet. It's paid for some things around the house. It's helping pay for her bill, which is like $4,000, which is kind of insane, but that's nothing compared to the $40,000 that the bill would be without insurance. Yeah. So not so bad. Yeah. So everything pays rent, and I'm collecting my rent, man. How have you been coming with your collection of stuff in the storage unit?
It's been a very slow burn. I've actually only sold 3 items so far, and I guess part of it probably have to adjust my pricing. Because when I went into it, I went in with the impression, well, most of the items I have, they're like in mint condition, they're like new, so I can, charge a little more respectively, thinking I'd be targeting collectors, and that hasn't really panned out. So,
well, you can, but the problem is you're going to be waiting a longer time.
Sure.
And not that you have to like bottom barrel your prices, because even my friend Mike was like, "Hey, I can't believe you've sold so much so quick, and your stuff sells so much quicker than mine. Why?" And I said, "Because I just matched the lowest price.
Right.
Like I already own the stuff. I've gotten my use out of it. If some things I've raised the price on, depending on what I was offering, what was offered in it. So, but for the by and large, it's really just." Like, I just got to get what it's worth because it's just going to be worth less tomorrow and the day after. And I saw that, especially with I had an iPad 2, like an iPad Air smart cover, and it started out and it was like, oh, it's like $15, and then it was like 14, and it was 13, and 12, and 10, and 8, and I think I pretty much got like $1 out of it by the time I shipped it. At the end of the day. But the thing is I don't know. Would I have gotten more if I sat on a higher price? Well, there's other people out there that, keep lowering the price on it. It's a marketplace. they'll buy theirs, and then who knows how long it'll take for somebody else to come along to want to buy it.
Well, that was the other thing too, is I don't want to price it too low, because then if I start dropping the price, which I certainly don't mind doing, but then I feel like, all right, now I'm not getting the minimum that I thought I would get for it. I also don't want to price something too low to start with, because I feel it kind of like undermines the value of it. I mean, you want to sell something at a price that people expect to pay, and maybe a little bit less, but.
Well, it depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to sell the collector's version or a collector's quality version versus like a used version of something, you can ask for more, but you're going to be waiting around for a person that's actually trying to collect a collector's version versus I just want to play the game.
Right.
Like it doesn't really matter.
Certain items I have, and not many of them, but certain items are rare and hard to find. So I'm trying to cash on that, because if people are willing to pay those prices, by all means. But like you said, you're waiting around longer to find the person that really wants to get it and wants like in the original condition with all the extras and the goodies and whatnot.
Right, and it sometimes it's tough. But yeah, so I still have like around 100 items in my store. I've sold over 120 items so far. So it's going really well, and like I said, I still have a ton more things like just waiting to be added. I just haven't had the time to do it.
That's true. Your stuff's been flying off the shelf, and it's funny too, because you have like this little open air flea market in the garage, Georgetown Walk, and I'm like, do I have a use for that? No, probably not. I'm thinking about it, because it's just all right there, all these electronics.
Shh, I know. There's a ton of crap in there. So another big thing that happened the other day was it was the 2-year anniversary on April 2nd of the day that I stopped working at my family's business. And it snuck up on me really quick. Like I didn't even realize it. Like I have quite a few things that came out in April. April 14th, it'll be 2 years since Adventuratorium came out. Yeah, 2 years already. What else? I think 31 Life-Changing Concepts was released last April, so that's coming up on the 1-year anniversary of that book release. I don't know why. Well, I mean, she wasn't born in April; she was born in March. But this is a pretty like jam-packed anniversary celebration time of year, I guess, for me.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, it's hard to believe that it's been that much time has passed. How do you feel? I mean, in those 2 years, how do you feel things have been going for you? Do you feel it's made the right decision? Do you feel things have been slow or going quick? Like what's been your overall experience?
I think what's important for people to realize, especially people that want to do like this kind of, content creation and helping people, delivering value and all that stuff, like it doesn't happen overnight, because people have to believe that you're like in it to win it. And you're going to continue to be in it to win it, like for not like tomorrow and a year from now and 2 years from now and keep going. I mean, this podcast is going to rapidly coming up on its 2-year anniversary already in May 15th. I should know this, but I think it's like May 15th or something like that. So it'll be 2 years that I've been doing recordings for Dreamers Podcast with over 200 and heck, this is episode I think 224. I think, yeah. So, I mean, how many shows don't make it past episode 10?
A lot.
And how many shows don't even make it to an episode 100? Like, so it's wild that we're here and I'm still doing it and still having fun doing it and have reinvented ways for me to enjoy doing it. Especially now, like doing the pre-show here with you and getting to reflect on my own journey versus just following other people's journeys, which is fun. I mean, it's good for me. It gives me something to look back on, and so far I've been really happy with doing it. And taking 3 weeks off from it, I missed it. I was legitimately trying to find ways for us to be able to make it happen in those 3 weeks that I didn't do this. So, I mean, the last one we did was in a car on the way to a store. So, I really wanted to find ways to do it. Though you were pretty busy too with your work schedule had changed or was fluctuating or something at the time. But so here we are, like we're back, and it hasn't gone as fast as I wanted to. Money wise, no, but I mean, I don't really want a whole lot of money. That's not one of the reasons why I do it. I don't really care about money. Like, money doesn't mean a whole lot to me. So, experiences do, helping people does, just, you know, being able to, like, I love technology. So for me, like, money doesn't mean anything, but technology does. And I mean, obviously money you need it to survive and to buy technology and stuff like that. But like, those are the things that matter to me. Those are the things that get me fired up. And business in general, right? Like getting to work with other entrepreneurs on their businesses and take the knowledge that I've learned from, I mean, not just my experience in growing up in a, $100 million company, but the experiences of the people that ran that that created that business. So I think for me, it's really just getting started. Like, I knew from the beginning that this wasn't like a sprint. Well, not from the beginning, but about 2 or 3 months in, I realized, like, wow, this isn't like a sprint. Like, people, just because you say you have a show doesn't mean like people are going, oh my God, that's amazing. Like, no, it doesn't mean anything. But when you get to the point of the level of like, okay, well, I've been doing it for this long, and you show longevity in it, and you show seriousness in it, that's when you start catching people's attention, and people are like, oh, well, if he's been doing it this long, well, then it must mean something. Even if it doesn't, right? Because like I said, the money isn't amazing, but I've made money, and I am very confident that I can continue to make money on my terms, not compromising myself, not doing things that I don't want to do, not doing things that, for lack of a better term, like a sellout, if you will. That's, integrity is really important to me, and the way I go about doing things is really important to me. So, and I'm sure you know that, Matt, about me. I mean, given our history of how long we've known each
other. Well, yeah, no, I was going to say, in your case, you can't really, for some people money is the goal, but for you, I feel money is more an means to an end, only because you had a job, you were making a lot of money, you weren't happy. You've had other offers recently, where it's like, oh, hey, come work for us. You're like, I'm not going to give up what I love to do.
And I have actually gotten those offers. I got an offer in North Jersey, too, to be a salesman for the software company that we used when we were in business. And I'm like, yeah, I could, but I wouldn't want to. Like, right. I'd much rather go work at, like, the supermarket down the street and just, like, beat things across the conveyor belt, because I wouldn't have to think about it, and I could save the energy to do things that I care and love about, like writing books and helping people and helping businesses, and better utilize that stuff.
I know for me, I used to laugh a lot when people would say, money doesn't buy happiness. I'm like, sure it does. But I think what I found is that money, while it'll buy you a lot of things, it's an empty experience. Like, you can own a whole bunch of stuff, it will make you more comfortable, but it's not going to make you happy. I really think that the takeaway is experiences, and part of that with your show is that you get to talk to people, you get to learn new things. It's almost like you get to travel the world from your living room.
I do. I do get to travel, like, with, I mean, come on, the Samantha Riley is in Australia. I've had a couple of interviews from Australia and UK, like, all over the world. I mean, Nigeria, I was just interviewed the other day.
But in addition to, like, going out and experiencing things for myself, I love to hear other people's stories about just things that have happened in their life, places they've been. I mean, there's so much you can absorb that is just, it scratches a different itch than reading a book or watching a movie or going out and buying like some new electronic toy. It's more meaningful, and I think it's more impactful. And ultimately, when you want to look back in your life, it's like, oh, either I bought a whole bunch of stuff, or like I learned so much. I changed, I grew, and I gave back to people. I think is a lot more fulfilling in the long run. And legacy is important.
It is, and even though I love technology, right? The thrill of it, like, of new things, fades really fast. Yes, like in a day or so. Like, I might still be fascinated by something like a week later, right, but that's on the rare occasion at this point. And it has to. But the thing is here's why it fades into the background, because stuff integrates into your life, and you either end up loving it or you return it. Yep. So that's the thing, right? Or you shelve it, and then you, like, a year later, you're like, why do I still have this? I need to sell this. But that experience of, like, oh my God, like, look how cool this is. It's neat. It does this. It does that. A good example of that was I recently switched over to PC Windows for my work desktop because I needed more power to do the things that I wanted, and I wanted to combine my server, my media server that I'm putting all these awesome videos of Ava, who's sleeping right now, through all of this, onto my server. So I was like, let me combine my gaming PC, which I don't use very often because I don't get to play a whole lot of games anymore, and my server into one computer and bring it all together. And that's one of the things that I've been doing over the past couple weeks was that. So, where was I going with this? Crap, I forget where I was going with this. I'm sorry.
Just, you're basically talking about how new things have a very short shelf life.
Oh, okay. So yeah. So I got that's where I was going with it. So I was like, well, now that I have a Windows, I'm using Windows on my desktop, maybe I should consider getting a Windows laptop because it's a lot cheaper. I don't need my MacBook Pro anymore. In fact, I'm selling my MacBook Pro if anybody's interested. It's a 2014 13-inch MacBook Pro. It's awesome. Just, shoot me a message on Facebook or wherever. Anyway, it was supposed to be sold, but it was on eBay, unfortunately. So the guy hasn't paid me, and it's now day 4. So I'm sitting around waiting for my payment. That probably isn't going to come, so I got to wait 7 days before I can relist it. Then it's 7 days on a bidding, and then it's like the end of April before I can finally get my money, maybe, if I'm lucky.
Your financial total will be a lot higher if people actually paid you on time. Because this is not the first time where somebody has failed it.
That's true.
They bought it, but they didn't pay for it, and now you're kind of stuck in this limbo.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas, and you can't complain to eBay because they don't care. Yeah. Anyway, that was getting off topic. So I was like, okay, so maybe I'll get a MacBook Air, but I was like, like an 11-inch MacBook Air, because I don't need all the horsepower that my MacBook Pro had, because I have this awesome desktop now. I sold my Mac Mini. That was my daily driver on what I was doing all my videos on and everything. And I'm so kind of glad I did, because it was from 2012, and I got a lot of use out of it. Also sold it for actually probably about what I paid for it originally at this point, because it actually is pretty valuable still. So anyway, I got a Lenovo Yoga, and I was like, oh my god, this is awesome! I can use it as a touchpad, or not a touchpad, a tablet, and this is so cool. And you know what? The one thing that annoyed me was the trackpad. The trackpad, every time I went to click on the trackpad, it shifted a couple pixels, and I was like, I can't deal with that. I just can't. It's just not going to work for me. So I was like, you know what? For $275 more, I'll just get the MacBook Air. I ended up, the number one thing I learned from college: always use somebody else's money. So you get 12 months no interest on $550. Use it, but make sure you pay it off. So, and I've talked about this in previous episodes with, I'm drawing a blank on the name, unfortunately. I can see her face. She's a very animated face, but, I've talked with Amy Robles, but also, I can't think of her name, and I apologize. But point is there's past episodes that are all about, getting your finances in order and all that. So go check those out. But yeah, anyway, I ended up returning it and just spending the extra cash to get what I wanted, which was the MacBook Air. So now I work between a Mac and Windows, which isn't so bad because I have my own server, so I just put all my projects on the server and then I just pull them onto the Mac. So it's not bad. I can definitely work around that. But I wanted extra power, and that's what it came down to. And what was available wasn't there. So the whole shiny thing didn't even last 24 hours. Because I remember, did I text you, Matt, that I bought a Yoga? I know I sent an email to Shane Condor, and he's like, holy crap, I can't believe you did that. It's insane. Because I haven't been using Windows except for server stuff since 2007 when I got a MacBook Pro. Since then, ever since then. So it's been almost 10 years. And now I'm coming back to Windows for, a little bit, just for work, pretty much.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. I thought it was the setup for a joke, but...
Well, hey, I ended up returning it because the shininess wore off and the trackpad was making me very angry, to say the least. So, so my point is money can buy you things. The thing is, those things, it wears off pretty quickly. and then it just, or it because it either fades into your daily routine, like iPhones or the Apple Watch or whatever, new phones or whatever you're gonna get. It'll just it just blends into your life, and then it's not as exciting. It doesn't give you the warm fuzzies. Most likely, there's still some things that are like, wow, every time I use it, I'm like, oh man, this is awesome. Maybe if I had like a massage chair, like one of those big massage chairs or something, I probably would get that same feeling every time. Maybe, but it probably would just like blend into my normal routine of like, okay, I'm gonna go sit in my chair now. Of course, that was when I was a lot more stressed, and now I don't have that problem anymore because I don't have like a real job. So that was a long way of saying that it was 2 years since I left, and it's really important to follow what you want to do, and how and not compromise yourself and how you're going to do it. Did you have anything you wanted to add to that? Because you look like you do.
I just want to say that I want to correct you that you don't have a traditional job. I wouldn't say you don't have a real job because you work your butt off. Sure.
I do.
It's nitpicking, but
I appreciate that because I do work. Oh, we're startling a little bit. So
even Ava,
yeah, she made the fist. She made the fist. She's like, I'm gonna fight you over whether or not you have a real job.
Speaking of which, I think UFC champ in training here because every time I see her, she's kicking something, headbutting somebody, punching them.
We'll see. It's a little too early to tell, but it's quite possible. She has a stork bite on her left eye, so it kind of looks like almost like a black eye. Like she came out fighting already.
Now, Dad, what do you think she should be? Well, not what she should be, but what would you anticipate her being when she grows up? Do you?
Man, I don't even know. It's too early to tell. It's too early. She's not even 3 weeks old yet, Matt. Ask me like when she's 2 or 3. I think I'll have a pretty good beat on it. When the personality really comes in and the interests come in, and I could see that. Hopefully she's interested in SimCity and not The Sims.
Have some kind of like prenatal SAT she could take. It wasn't already figured out.
She can't even see colors yet. she's still so little. I mean, it's just it is just this. I don't know.
There's plenty of careers in black and white. I'm sure that we can.
Yeah, I don't. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't want to limit the people with disabilities who can't see black and white or only seeing black and white. But I'm sure. But right now, you gotta give me like a year. Give me a year. Just give me a year, and I'll. No, I think I need more than that. I think I need at least 2 or 3, and I might have a better beat on where she might be heading.
Sure.
So let's see. The other thing I wanted to get to was I watched the movie In the Heart of the Sea, and I thought it was. And we don't have to spend a lot of time on this, but I thought it was really interesting the complexity of them achieving what they had to do to get oil back then in the mid 1800s versus I can literally sit on my butt, watch it grow, and collect energy off the top of my house from solar panels.
Pretty frightening process. I mean, anything maritime, it's just even today. I mean, you look at some of these shows. These fishermen are going out there risking their lives. Just it's
to get crabs.
Yeah.
I mean, not the bad crabs, but good crabs.
It definitely takes a certain kind of fortitude
or need.
Well, oh yeah, true.
Yeah, if you need the money, you gotta do what you gotta do. It's just crazy. Like how hard it was for people to collect energy, back then, and now it's like literally I can sit on my butt and collect energy. Like once you put the panels out, like literally the sun is just giving out free energy. But it is a good movie. I would definitely suggest checking it out. Maybe it was a little bit long, but hey, it's Ron Howard, so what can you expect? And I think one of the Hemsworths, Liam or Chris, or I think the guy who plays Thor was in it, and he did a pretty good job. The final thing I want to talk about is about suffocation warnings.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have this. And I have her in my hands at the moment. And if you were watching us on Facebook Live, you would know that. We have like this bassinet, and it has canvas sides that you cannot breathe through. So what do? They put in these giant suffocation warnings. And I'm like, well, wait a second. We know that infants are going in these things, right? We know that. Like, that's who it's designed for. That's the target market is, right? And yet, we're designing them to have warnings on them about if the baby can roll over, then they shouldn't be in this thing. Why? Why are we doing this? Why is that acceptable in 2016? Like, it could be made out of mesh. So we had to go and we did some research, and there's some bassinets that are like really dangerous. Like, there's all wood ones. Like, I don't know, I guess if you're like a hipster family or something, you might get the all wood one. But they had like the old ones too that really aren't safe because they're not breathable. So we found one. It was $30. I wish I knew the name of it off the top of my head. But they sell it at Target, and it's all mesh sides. In fact, even the small, slim pieces that aren't mesh sides are breathable. Like, I put my mouth up to it, and I could breathe through it. So I'm like, oh, well, that's awesome. And, she's going to be able to be in that for a while. So we use it for her to sleep. Like, we have a co-sleeper that, like, attaches to the side of the bed, and she's able to sleep in that. Well, we thought she was going to be able to sleep in it now, but the thing is she likes to have her arms up, so we don't swaddle her very much. Actually, as of late, we haven't swaddled her at all because she likes to throw her arms up. Like, it's really surprising right now that she doesn't have her arms up like this, because like a lot of times, and if you're watching on Facebook Live, this is how she has her arms, right up by her head. Oh, yeah. Both of them. Like, she's like a champ, like that.
All day long she's been doing that. I wasn't joking about the boxing.
Oh yeah, I know. So my point is we couldn't put her in the co-sleeper thing, so we had to get a bassinet. So we put the bassinet in the co-sleeper, and it works. It's great. But the best part is it's all mesh, so we don't have to worry. So like when we put her, like when we bring it downstairs every morning, and we'll let her sleep in that on the floor, because with that, she can't suffocate. Like, we're able to, like, if we have to go into the garage or something and no one, like, and I'm not in the room, Melissa can, or I can go in the garage while Melissa's, like, in the bathroom or getting a shower. Like, I don't have to worry about her first time rolling over being the last time she ever rolls over, because she can't roll back over and she suffocates because her face gets planted up against the side of it. So why, like, I don't understand why this is still a thing. Like, we know how to make materials that can hold babies, clearly, because I have one that was all of $30. And the great thing is, it's not that wide, so when she puts her arms out, she hits the edges and just falls right back to sleep.
Yeah, I don't know why they wouldn't just make it all mesh. I'm sure there's a reason.
I mean, there's mesh in this one. There's mesh, like, until you get into like the cradle part, like where she's actually laying her head. And that's where you can't breathe. Even the back side of it, like this, we have like if you flip it over, it's like it's called a napper or something like that, where she can actually get seat belted into the napper. It's like an extreme seat napper or something, that you have to be seat belted in. But you can actually breathe through it. So if she did happen to get like far enough over, she wouldn't be able to suffocate, because you can breathe through it. It's just my point. It's just very annoying that the companies are like, we're gonna make it this way, and it's good enough to just put a warning on the side of it. Like, now, granted, look, we all, like me and you, Matt, we grew up, and this stuff wasn't, we had bumpers and stuff, and we don't have that anymore. Like, you're not supposed to have those anymore. And there's lots of things that were, when we were growing up, that you don't do that stuff now.
Oh yeah, I know.
So, but the point is why are we making stuff at all like that? It just shouldn't be. It just shouldn't be. You gotta do the right thing. Gotta do the right thing. But yeah, I guess that pretty much wraps up the pre-show here, because I had one other thing on my mind about managing and how, let's talk about it, because I think it actually has some valid points, and while it's on my mind, it wouldn't hurt to talk about. Plus, we get more Ava FaceTime here on Facebook Live. So, managers, if you have to go and like go above, like if something's illegal, and that something is morally wrong, on top of it already being illegal, why, as a manager, would you not take the initiative to just say, no, we're not doing that? Like, that's not, it's illegal and it's morally wrong. Why would you be like, well, let me go ask the higher up? I mean, to me, it's a sign of like bad management. And I'll be honest, and that I know that you had mentioned this before, or had mentioned this to me before. A year, 2 years ago, being in an operations management position, I didn't like to like yell at people that much, and stuff like that. I feel like you can get a lot more with sugar than I don't know, however that thing with bees or flies or whatever goes. Anyway, point is it really made me mad when I seen what was going on. And it made me even madder because I literally just started watching, and I know it existed, but I just never watched it, was Bar Rescue. And watching John Taffer, not just him yelling, because it's not about him yelling, but his expectations of what people should be doing and how they should be doing it it's right. Like, it's just totally right. So when I see, and when I was, started watching, of course I've watched like the whole first season because we've been on the couch so much that's all we pretty much have been watching was Bar Rescue. When I see it in person, I'm like, this is not right, and I feel like I should say something or step in, which I didn't, but I did say something, and it felt good to be able to point out the fact that like this is not right and it shouldn't be happening like this, and managers should be able to manage. That's what they're paid to do, right?
It is, and going off of Bar Rescue as an example, a lot of times not sure where I see someone who owns a bar isn't stepping up. It's either because they've either checked out, things are just so bad they don't care anymore, and they'll let somebody else take the responsibility. They don't want to be. They just want to be done with the whole thing. Or in other cases where the manager is just they're friendly, but too friendly. It's like, all right, I'm everybody's buddy, and I know this guy, and I know he needs the money, so I don't want to tell him he can't do this, but I know I should tell him he can't do it, and I'm like torn. There's got to be a fine line between, like I said, what's legally correct, what's morally right, and just plain common sense. It's like
being able to step up and do and just do it, right? Rather than like, well, let me just ask, because
somebody has to make the hard decision. Somebody has to be, the quote unquote bad guy. But ultimately, you're doing it for the right reasons. I mean, you are paid to be a manager. You are paid to essentially assume responsibility. So in the situation you're describing, it seems pretty clear cut. Where you should just say, "Hey, here's how it is. I'm sorry, but I got to do the right thing." Not only ultimately for you, but for anybody else that could be affected by me being irresponsible or taking the easy way out. Like, oh, well, I'll just overlook it this one time, and
then somebody dies. Like that's what it comes down to. So yeah, so managers need to it sucks being the bad guy. Sure. But there's ways about being nice about being the bad guy, right? You don't have to be a jerk about being the bad guy. You can be, you can be understanding, you can be empathetic, but like at the end of the day, like you need to make the call instead of being like, well, let me just make somebody else be the bad guy. Like, and growing up, admittedly, I did a lot of that. I would use my dad as a crutch to be like, well, my dad said blah 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 blah. And instead of just being like, well, no, this is just the way it is because this is what's right or this is what's wrong, and there's reasons for why things are the way they are or supposed to be. So and that comes with experience, right? And that's one of the reasons why if you are a manager, you're supposed to be experienced in handling those types of situations when they arise.
Right, because it's easy to fall into the trap of making the logical assumption that, oh, somebody else knows more than I do. So he's worked here longer, he's older than me, or whatever justification you come up with. You have to have a certain level of confidence to say that no, I know what's right. I believe in myself. I trust myself to know that if I get a bad feeling about this, I don't need somebody else to tell me that I'm correct. I just got to go with my gut and say, here's how it is, and then you accept what happens afterwards. You accept the fallout. But again, it's you're doing the right thing, and you're doing your job ultimately. I mean, that's again, if you're in that position. Now, if you're an underling, then sure, it's fine to go say, let me go ask my boss because I'm not the guy in charge, but obviously somebody's got to be the
right.
Somebody's got to be running.
Someone's got to take responsibility, and that's what managers are supposed to do, is take responsibility. So. Yeah, and to go off the whole bar rescue thing, it's interesting too when John is not like he's not afraid to call owners out and be like, look, you're not empowering your managers to be managers. You're not giving them the tools, the resources that they need. So as as owners, we need to look at whether or not we're doing a good enough job for those people. If they're because if they're not getting the support that they need, if you're constantly going over their head as an owner. Over the manager's head, or just just not giving them the products or the whatever they need to be able to be effective, or even if it's just support, moral support, an ear to listen. I mean, how many times I've had to listen to people as being in the position that I was in. Just listening to people was enough to help them along and make them feel good, even though I didn't really have the power to do a lot about it, because there was somebody still over my head in a lot of cases.
But sometimes that's all people really want, is somebody to listen and actually care enough to hear the whole story. But I understand what you're saying. If you don't want to undermine your own infrastructure in a company where, if you're the manager, you say, okay, here's my second in command. If people know they can, if he says no, they can come, run the mom or run the dad. Well, he said I couldn't do. Oh, let's go ahead and fine. If you're constantly undermining your own employees, you just set yourself up for failure. It's like, well, how come I can't trust you to take care of anything? Because anything I do, I don't know that you're not going to come in and override it.
Right. Regardless of if it's right or wrong.
If the buck doesn't stop with me, why am I even here? Like, I'm supposed to be the first line of defense, and people are just. They're just walking around to the back of the house and
asking, I know. Well, sometimes people would do that. Did that to my dad with my grandfather. Your dad said,
right.
Which is not good for him, for sure.
Yeah, no. So you want to nip that kind of behavior in the bud, and it's important. And vice versa. Maybe you don't trust the person that's working under you. Then why are they still there? You should get rid of them. Put in somebody that you can trust, that is going to apply policies the way you would apply them, so that you don't have to. You can go on, focus on the big picture, and they can handle the day-to-day stuff. I mean, again, otherwise, why even have a manager? Why not just run the whole show yourself and go crazy
and make more money? Saving money on employees. I mean, that's always important too. So. Managing your overhead and costs through just being like, well, I'm just going to do it, but then you have the stress level, right? And nobody wants to put themselves in a bad position when it comes to stress, and you shouldn't, because that's one of the reasons why if you own a business or you're in that position, you shouldn't let the business be running you. You got to run the business, and that's why you got to get people like cog. It's all cogs in a machine. If you don't put the right pieces in there, it's not going to turn. It's not going to turn over. It's not going to work right. So, man, that's a long way of saying Bar Rescue is an awesome show, regardless of the fact that it is still TV. And while I don't watch a whole lot of TV, it's probably easily one of the best shows on television. Easily in the top 5, especially if you take out like all these dramas that people love that I watch, and I'm like, yawn. It's predictable, and I'm not really that interested. I'd rather watch something and learn something, and that's really what that comes down to, is watching and learning and listening, and not just listening, but one of the things that I try to do whenever I'm watching something that I feel is educational, like a Bar Rescue, and then obviously it's entertaining and all that, but I don't watch it because it's entertaining. Like, there's other shows I could be watching entertaining. But I watch it because I use, I'm looking at how I can apply it to my own, whether it's management skills, my own fold, learning stuff, and how that, okay, I don't drink. I don't go to bars. I hate bars, actually. So for me, it's like, it has nothing to do with bars in general. It has everything to do with business, running businesses, and management, and being able to help people, and even like coaching people, right? Consulting, like, that's like, okay, like, how's this guy doing it then, and like John Taffer, and applying like how he's doing it, and not just the yelling part, because like some of that is definitely for television, but
it's dramatic, sure, but
right.
Look, you're trying to get ratings, people want it.
Well, yeah, hey, he loses the show if it doesn't get ratings, then it's gone. So then nobody gets to learn any of the information that these people have to offer. And again, it's not about drinks because I don't care. I don't care about that because I don't go to bars. I don't. It's not. That's I'm not their target market. Put it that way.
But you're still getting the takeaway from it.
I get a lot. I've gotten a lot of takeaway from it, and I plan on watching a heck of a lot more episodes. So for me, it's definitely it's like another Shark Tank or Beyond the Tank, getting to watch these companies and how they operate and what their business plans are and how how could I go about helping them if I was there to be able to help them. But yeah, so that pretty much sums up. Be a manager. If you're a manager, be a manager. Don't shy away from taking the reins.
Yeah, basically, don't be afraid to tell people what you want. You don't have to. I mean, yeah, sure, if things get escalated, they get escalated, but you don't have to come in like, all pissed off. You can just say, look, this is what I want, and just be insistent about it. Sometimes you gotta be a broken record. Just keep saying, look, this is what I want. They come up with an excuse. Okay, that's great. This is what I want. And eventually, either you'll get what you want, or you'll come to some kind of common ground, or if all else fails, at least you could say, hey, at least I made my demands clear. I just walk away now feeling crappy. Like, oh, I should have said this. I should have done something. Like, don't let people walk all over you, whether you're a manager or just in daily life. I mean, it's, and again, I think that's what you can kind of take away from Bar Rescue is that some of these managers are just, like I said, they're checked out, or their employees are just running crazy and they don't know what to do. Like, oh, I don't know what to do. I can't. You're in charge. You're in charge. You forgot that for a while, but you're in charge. You can hire, you can fire.
It's because everybody becomes your friend.
Well,
and you don't want to disappoint your friends.
I'm not saying you shouldn't be friends with your employees. I mean, the manager I work for now, I think he's a great guy, but he's very hands off. If you do something wrong, yes, he'll be on you, and rightly so. But otherwise, essentially, the way I look at it is, I hired you to do a job. If I don't gotta yell at you, that means you're doing it right, so I can trust you. So I don't gotta micromanage you. Why should I be breathing down your neck, aggravating myself, aggravating you? I can go focus on something else.
Just aggravating all around.
Or maybe focus on the guy that's not doing his job.
Yeah, well, that's the. If only more people would do that.
So I mean, that's what I like. I just, and if I need help from him, I can go ask him. But only if it's something that I'm absolutely, it's completely like I have no idea, or it's something that I'm not allowed to make a decision.
Right.
Because my job is a lot of red tape. But anything else, I'll be the bad guy and say, look, here's what I need you to do. You can go card somebody else, but it's just a lot quicker. I've already done most of the work for you. Just do it, get it done, and maybe for next time we'll know we can save each other some trouble. So.
One last thing I was thinking, and obviously we gotta wrap it up. I'm not sure how long this Facebook Live goes now because it's been so many weeks since we've done it. We're at 47 minutes at this point.
Record for days at this point.
I hope at least. Well, because at one point it was for an hour and a half. They were letting me, but I don't know. So I don't know if it's an hour. Usually it was jumping back to like a half hour for a while. But so I was having a conversation with my dad about the transportation industry, and he's like, oh, everybody's trying to be the Uber of something, and then it's like there's just these guys. He's like, I was listening or reading about they're trying to be the Uber of the trucking industry, and we got into a conversation about this, and I was like, well. And I didn't realize it till afterwards, right? I was thinking about this, and I'm like, well, here's the thing, right? He's sitting there giving me all the reasons why it wouldn't work, right? Just like 5 years ago, like, oh, well, taxis, nobody could touch the taxi industry because there's all these regulations and da-da-da-da-da, and, how could a thing like Uber ever take off? Plus, you have all the security things, like somebody's going to wind up getting killed in one of these Ubers, and it's going to be a problem, and all that. But they figured it out. And the reason they figured it out, the secret to all that, and it's not even a secret, is they weren't sitting around on a Sunday afternoon watching baseball, spitballing ideas about why something wouldn't work. They actually, and I haven't honestly looked into that company, but in general, these people that come up with these ideas do the research. They put the effort in. They get the lawyers involved. They find what ways they can go and circumvent what already exists so that they can create effectively whatever it is that they want to create. And they're not just sitting around saying, oh, well, it wouldn't work because right now the laws are blah, 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 blah. Right, because this is what you know, and this is what you know to be true. the thing is there's lawyers out there that are constantly trying to find how to circumvent those laws. And if you have the money and you have the technology background and you can reduce your costs, then you could technically be the Uber of transportation. 18-wheeler trucks delivering stuff. But maybe it's not 18-wheeler trucks. Maybe you get it all done with box trucks. I don't know. That's just one example. But the whole point of the matter is don't limit yourself in the thinking of, well, I'm in this industry and I know how it runs. Like, you're right, you do, and that's great. But you haven't really sat down to think about the ways that you could go around what it already is. And a great example of that is I was watching Beyond the Tank, and what was it, The Coop, who they're like an upscale Chuck E. Cheese, for lack of better terms. They were like, oh, we need the franchise. We got a franchise. And then they're sitting there talking to the barber, and they're like, well, we have this one partnership down in Texas that we just started, and it's going great. We designed the store for them, blah, blah, blah. It's really wonderful. And she's like, so wait, why did you go with a partnership? He's like, well, we talked to a lawyer, and the lawyer said there's like so much less red tape than selling a franchise. And she's like, well, then why aren't we just doing more partnerships then? And they're like, well, we didn't really think about it. And then all of a sudden, boom, now they're doing all these partnerships, and they're probably making a lot more money at it with a lot less red tape than, trying to do the franchise thing. And really all it comes down to is a term of franchise versus partnerships.
Sure, it's a matter of perspective.
Starbucks is partnerships, apparently, according, from listening to the show. So, it exists, but the thing is, it's less known than, I'll just get a franchise.
Well, it's the difference between, like I said, you're looking at something and saying, here's why it wouldn't work, or looking at saying, okay, here's the obstacles I need to overcome in order to make it work.
How do I go about, one at a time, let's knock them down.
And, part of it depends on, like, how serious are you about, this new idea. Like, all right, what's the possible profit potential? Could somebody else do this? Is somebody else working on this? There's a lot of things to take into consideration, but you also got to think about, well, if nobody else thinks it can be done, I think maybe I could find a way to do it. It's like, okay, here's some potential revenue. Somebody's got to be first.
That's the thing. Somebody has to be first, and that's not to say that other people haven't tried, but that doesn't mean that they bring the experience that you bring to the table,
sure.
Right? They don't bring the people that you bring to the table. They don't bring the money that you bring to the table. Maybe they ran out of money. There's a ton of reasons why things could fail. It's not just, oh, well, it can't be done because it can't be done. Well, I mean, like, if that was the case, we'd still be on a flat earth. Sorry, Bob. But we'd still be on a flat earth and not, like, here in America right now, right? So the point is there's always a way. You have to find it. And that's one of the concepts of my book in 31 life-changing concepts is there's always a way. You just have to be willing to go and find it. And sometimes sometimes it doesn't make sense. Sometimes it's like, okay, well, we could circumvent this, but at that point our costs of doing business would be too high, and maybe we need to invest more time. And maybe you don't have the money to say, okay, well, if we invest a year into this process, we could get this cost down. But we don't know. Like, there's known knowns, known unknowns, unknown unknowns. Like, there's things that you just don't know that you don't know until you get there. So that's one of those things where it's like, okay, that's where your experience comes into play, but you have to be able to think on your feet at that point, and not, because experience is great, but experience doesn't always, you need to build new ways a lot of times, because especially if you're doing things that have never been done. So it's like your old way of doing things isn't necessarily a great way for what you are currently doing, and you need to build upon those old ways to find new ways, which is also another concept in the book. I'm pretty sure that one's in there. Is that the old way, the new way is just, or the old way is just the foundation for the new way.
Don't listen to us, just read the book.
Yeah, that's it. 31 life-changing concepts. You can get it on Amazon. But, the whole point of it is don't limit yourself to thinking like, just because you understand something, even if you understand it really, really well, that doesn't mean that maybe you're too close to the situation to, or you don't understand that, hey, if I had a technology background or not like a coding background, and I could take all these employees that I'm paying $60,000 a year for, and I had to invest 3 years and I get some investors, Now all of a sudden I've replaced 5 or 6 or 7, or we can scale whatever. So all those $60,000 employees, now I don't need them because I have the software that does everything, and I can pay someone $20,000 or $25,000 to answer a phone when people call, and basically go through the motions. So, and obviously that's like super like pie in the sky thinking, because you have to get to that point. It doesn't happen overnight. But just don't limit yourself just because you know or you think you know every way about doing something, because there's always a way out there. So anyway, I think that pretty much wraps up, unless you had anything else that you thought might have be of interest from this week.
No, I think we've said it all.
Yeah, for this week at least. So we'll see till next week. I'm looking forward to it. Will you be around next Monday?
I will.
Awesome. I will be here next Monday too. And stay tuned for Samantha Riley, the entrepreneur from Australia, who's been doing it since she left high school to pursue her passions and dreams.
I'm excited to hear about this.
She is awesome. I'm so glad that pretty sure my friend Esther Kish, who has also been a guest on Dreamers Podcast, she's the one that hooked me up with her. So super excited to get that interview out there, and it's so awesome. I gotta say, being a dad, having Ava right here in my arms. She's making a cranky face. I'm sorry. It's okay. We'll just bounce. We're back to neutral. Okay, so it's been a lot of fun. It's been almost an hour, so we still have I think my interview is for at least a half hour. So we got an hour and a half episode of Dreamers Podcast ahead. Go to superjoepardo.com /dream. Just go to dreamerspodcast.com to listen to all the past episodes of Dreamers Podcast. It's all at the new superjoepardo.com. Oh, that's a mouthful. I'm trying to think if I've forgotten anything this week or from this week. It's been awesome. It's been awesome. I love it, and wouldn't trade it for anything. So thanks everyone for listening. And again, if you're not following me on Facebook, follow me on Facebook. It's facebook.com/PardoJoe. I think /Pardo is my entrepreneur page, my public profile, but that you won't see my Facebook Lives on there. So, yeah, all right, I'm tired. Let's go watch a movie, Matt.
Sounds good.
And you guys stay tuned, because Samantha Riley and my interview is coming up next. And that's it. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Really appreciate it. Oh, so it is Pardo Joe. I thought it was, but I wasn't sure. And unfortunately, I only have one hand, so typing is really slow right now to find out. So I need to get that written down so I can. Oh yeah, it is Pardo Joe. Very good. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. It's been a lot of fun. Ava appreciates it. She is right here. Well, she doesn't like to be that inclined. Oh, we're back to neutral. All right, so everybody have a wonderful night. Thanks for tuning in, and go listen to the show tomorrow. It comes out tomorrow.
Watch Zootopia.
And thank you, John. I really appreciate that. And thank you to who else was it? Fred Block, thank you. Yeah, I am multitasking the best that I can. And Anthony Hayes, got to catch up with you. And Lori Foster, I'm glad that you've been enjoying it. And thank you very much, Jessica Rhodes. And Al Kessel, I am, this is Facebook Live from my phone, utilizing a cool little, it would be all zoomed in, but we have a little widescreen, wide angle lens that we just pop right over, and you get a better shot with her in it. So everybody have a wonderful night, and check out, again, the episode will be out tomorrow, probably around 8 a.m. as it always is, dreamerspodcast.com.